Last night I rolled credits on the worst PlayStation exclusive ever made. PS5 has no games, you say? Well, how about a brand new PS5 exclusive Dino Crisis spiritual successor to start off 2026? Yes, Dino Crisis inspired science fiction survival horror in the big 2026. This is a dream come true. Yeah, so right off rip for the first game review of 2026, this game sucks.
Truth.
This is Code Violet, ladies and gentlemen, and according to the developers Team Kill Media, one of their handcrafted cinematic masterpieces. Wow, lofty claims there, boys. Let's see if we can live up to it. So there's dinosaurs, which is a great start. Dinosaurs are always awesome. Well, until they're not.
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
But wait, folks, not only are there dinosaurs, there's also jiggle physics, and lots of them. Actually, it might be the goofiest I've ever seen. Them things is pure jello.
Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle.
Coming from the studio that said they are not bringing the game to PC because they don't want us perverted gamers to mod vulgar versions of their main character into the game. They said, we don't want you to over-sexualize our main character, so out of respect for our actress, we'll just do it ourselves. Making a joke out of our art and possibly tarnishing the reputation of our voice actresses and actors is not worth the extra money we can make. What? You said all that and then made her a joke anyway? Genius stuff, guys. Genius. But hey, maybe we got off on the wrong foot. This nonsense can be overlooked when the game is great, right? Or at least fun. Where to begin? In Code Violet, you play as Violet, a voluptuous velociraptor-fighting Valentine that wakes up in some underground facility with no memory of who she is or where she's at. A wholly unique video game premise that has never been attempted before. This has been billed as a Dino Crisis spiritual successor, which truly is something that so many gamers want. I guess these guys saw that, and since Capcom won't do it, they said, fine, I'll do it myself. But sadly, this should have just stayed extinct, because this is a bad video game, which is not something anyone should be surprised by. Fool me once with Quantum Error, shame on me. Fool me twice with Sun and Bone, shame on you. Fool me thrice with Code Violet.
You can't keep getting away with it!
We'll start with the story. It took me 6 hours to roll credits here on normal difficulty, which they are charging $50 for, by the way. Mind you, the game of the year 2025 was priced at $50 for around 40 to 60 hours of playtime. I'm just throwing that in there. As you piece your memory back together, the game acts like this narrative is supposed to make sense. I can't spoil the story here, but I want to so badly. Simply put, it's a convoluted mess that has a semblance of a plot that straight up just doesn't make any sense. Like I said, I wish I could get into the weeds here because of how hilariously bad and nonsensical this whole thing is, but I can't. Maybe another time. There's only a handful of characters throughout this story, and there's some emotional scenes that were clearly designed to make you feel something, but we barely get to know any of these characters. Jason here is Violet's love interest, but why? Like, we know that they love each other. They say they do multiple times throughout the game, but I had no idea why they did. There's nothing established to make me care about this love story between them. I mean, quite literally nothing. I don't know how they originally met. I don't know what their motivations are. I don't know where they're going once all of this is over. None of that is established. Same goes for Violet's best friend, this girl right here. I say this girl because I legitimately don't remember her name. And Violet says in the game that she's her best friend and she has like total of 5 minutes of screen time. And again, I don't know why they're best friends. Nothing about the relationship is established for us. Characters are just dropped into scenes and they're like, hey, look, here's your best friend. You should care about her. But that's not how that works. You have to give me some reason to care about them so that when something significant does happen, we care. There's all these scenes where Violet is crying about something that they want me to care about too, but I don't. because I'm not given any reason to. The act of actually playing this game is sadly not any better. A video game can still be great with a bad story. Just ask Elden Ring. But with Code Violet, the gameplay doesn't hold any redeeming qualities either. It's clunky, over-the-shoulder, third-person survival horror shooting, but not in like the good way, you know what I mean? Like, survival horror games are meant to feel a bit slow and sluggish. That's kind of the whole point. You're supposed to feel like you're surviving this terrifying experience. I did feel like I was barely surviving while playing Code Violet, but not in the good way like it feels in Resident Evil 2 Remake, but because I felt like the life was being drained out of me while droning through this game. When you're ready for a game to end and the game is only 6 hours long, we gotta go back to the drawing board. There's a handful of weapons throughout the game: 2 pistols, 2 submachine guns, an assault rifle, a shotgun, and an energy rifle, along with some grenades, and you interact with all of this in a classic survival horror inventory management system. There's a simple dodge that you can do when one of these dinos lunges at you, and you can toggle a jog and a sprint. That's it. That's all the gameplay has on offer. You can equip a knife for melee attacks, but there's no reason to ever use it. There's no hand-to-hand melee options, no kicks that you can use, no useful dodge rolling, just nothing interesting going on here. Just point and shoot with this janky gunplay. There's 2 boss fights in the game, and I legit did not get touched in either of the fights, and they both lasted like just a few seconds each. Like, lamest boss fights ever. We're fighting dinosaurs here on normal difficulty, and they posed absolutely no threat. The uninteresting level design doesn't do the game any favors either. 85% of the game is just samey looking gray corridors that try their best to evoke fear, but simply evoke boredom. The tropey survival horror puzzle design is also either terrible or just painfully simple. The first puzzle in the game involves getting through this laser grid, but you get to the end and it's blocked off by impassable lasers. I ran back through the entire opening level twice, assuming that I had just missed some kind of key or gadget that would get me past this, only to discover there's one little green light on the ceiling that you have to shoot and it powers down the lasers. What kind of... There's absolutely nothing that indicates that you should look up on the ceiling for a random green light that you have to shoot. I was completely baffled by this. There are a few cinematic set pieces that break up the monotony, but I mean, even these are just kind of there, and some of them are scenarios ripped straight from other games that did it better or other movies that established the same iconic scene 30 years ago. The best thing about this entire game is this goose right here. Why is this goose in a random hollowed out tree I discovered looking for ammo? I have absolutely no idea. It's completely random. This goose isn't a collectible. You can't interact with it. Shooting it does nothing. You don't get a trophy for finding this goose. It's just here. 10 years from now, I'll think, what game was that random goose in? And I'll think, and I'll think. And I won't be able to recall what game that goose was in. But I'll remember the goose. Quack.